the steering shaft, I just used 2 pieces of angle here on each side with a tube, and it was all welded together. So I just created this bracket, created the main support, and what I did, I cheated. I just put a long tube in so that it had the right angle on both ends, welded it, and this is solid steel rod from Farm Fleet, and because it's long and the stress and stuff on the frame, you get some friction in there, plus the size of the tubing aren't exact, so even though this steel rod fits inside that tube, if I had the long length, it had too much friction to where it made it harder to steer. So I just cut it up there so it just acts as a bushing, and down here, and then put 2 collars, and it works great. No more friction, because you only have this part and that part as a bushing. So that's how I ended up doing that. The steering wheel, since I already welded on my other steering wheel for the first go-kart project, I didn't want to have to buy another $25 steering wheel, and I was ready to get this project complete because it was 95-degree days. So this was just made. It's flat stock going across, 2 tubes welded, and another tube right here in the center. I just drilled through the flat stock and put the tube through so that it was nice and flush, and then welded around this back side here. And then once I had everything straight with the wheels, I just drilled a hole, and I just used a cotter pin to hold it in. So that holds everything nice and tight. And I had the steel on hand. Didn't cost me another $20 for a steering wheel, so that worked out pretty good. Was able to complete the job when I wanted to. Brake pedal, same way as the gas pedal, just reversed. I did just take 2 bolts, drilled through them so that the cable could run through them, and then you just put a nut on the back side, and as it draws tight, that's what holds your cable so you can make your adjustments and so forth. Of course, next time I wouldn't use hardened bolts, so it wouldn't be so hard to drill through them, but that's what I had on hand. And that's pretty much it for assembling this go-kart. It was a good little project. Hardest thing was just not blowing through with the welder, with the thin square tubing, so which I did blow through several times and had to fix. So, like anything, practice makes perfect. But kids have had a blast on it so far. Adults have had a blast on it so far. I think they ride it just as much as the kids. You can kind of see in comparison, side by side with that Pantera bike. I make a good little pair to have the 2 boys run around on. And let me get the final measurements here. In the front, going across the very front tube, is about 16.5 inches going across. From the main support tube for the steering wheel at the back side of it to the front frame, we're looking at 16.75. For my seat, with the removable brackets and so forth, my frame for that is 12.25 from the end to the end to the outsides. My steering wheel height, measured from the top to the middle of the steering shaft, is just over 9.5 inches. So the steering shaft length is about 19 inches, right around there. Where my arms are mounted, if we go to the center of the steering shaft, we're about 1 3/4 up. I left it long so I could adjust. There's a second hole, so you can change, you know, however high up or low you go is going to depend on how fast you're steering or how much it turns. Total height from the ground to the frame, 5.5 inches. In the back for the steering, or for the jack shaft, it's about 6.5 across. But any of that stuff you're going to have to just change up and mock up with whatever engine you're using anyways. That's all the basic measurements, so you can get an idea. And like I said, the frame rails were just cut and then bent over and then re-welded back up, and that's what gave it that angle. I don't remember exactly how many degrees that is, but you can figure it out from between the front and rear measurements that I gave you.